Well, hello, Brother Williams.
Hello,
Welcome.
yeah, thank you very much, Pat.
I'm so blessed to have you here.
Oh,
Literally, I feel blessed.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous because first time I'm sitting like this.
In front of a mic and everything.
Yeah.
It's okay, it's okay. It's just me talking, right? Well, for those who are listening, let's talk about you first. Everybody wants to know who Brother Williams is. Of course, you are a brother of St. Patrick's Association.
St. Patrick's. We are called a congregation.
Congregation.
A congregation or a society of brothers of St. Patrick. And we are originally Irish based.
Irish based.
Yeah.
I have read about Brother Daniel Delaney.
Yes.
In the 1800s.
He was the founder of this society in Ireland 200 years ago. 200 years ago, when Ireland was under Britain. And Ireland was basically, in Christianity, we have the Roman Catholics. Roman Catholics, they come under the leadership of the Pope.
Okay.
They come under the leadership of the Pope. And Ireland was basically 100% Roman Catholics. Then at some period in history around the 14th or 15th century in England, King Henry VIII, he somehow believed that he should have a son to succeed him. And in those years, between one country and another, they married for political reasons.
That still happens in India. We have arranged marriages for political reasons.
Yeah.
Anyways, King Henry.
So Henry VIII, he married a princess from Spain. Spain was a Catholic country. England also was a Roman Catholic country, paying allegiance to the Pope. Then Henry VIII married this girl, a princess by the name of Catherine. She was the princess of Spain. And then she didn't give birth to a boy. She only... So then Henry was determined to remarry. So he fell in love with one of the courtesans, and he wanted to marry this Anne Boleyn. And so then he gave some reason to saying that his wife, the Spanish princess, was actually his elder brother's wife.
Oh.
And his elder brother had died before the marriage was consummated. So there was some custom that the next brother should marry the widow.
That's a custom.
That was a custom. That he should marry the widow if the marriage is not consummated. And also for political reasons between Spain and England, he married her. So now he said that, strictly speaking, I should not have married her. And she's not able to give me an heir.
That is so funny.
So he wanted to marry Anne Boleyn. But she objected. But he was determined. And somehow Henry VIII
went on to marry someone else.
He was determined to marry this Anne Boleyn. He was so he told this other lady that you're a widow and you're not able to give me an heir, and I'm going to marry her. So then he more or less forced her to marry him, but because he was a Roman Catholic. According to Roman Catholic custom, if your marriage is a legal marriage with a particular lady, you cannot remarry somebody else, or you cannot divorce.
Okay.
You see?
In
Whereas
Christianity, marriage is like a bond. You cannot break that bond.
Yeah. Unless it is found that there was some trickery and there was something wrong with the, sometimes infidelity or for some other reason that she's not able to bear a child. Known fact. there are some reasons in which cases the divorce can be given. But Henry VIII case, he could not get a divorce.
Okay.
And he had to get permission from the Pope.
Sad for him.
You see. So the Pope refused. And he sent a lot of emissaries all over these. Especially he had one chancellor by the name of, I forget his name. They have made a famous movie called Anne of a Thousand Days. Anne of a Thousand Days.
Anne of a Thousand Days.
Days.
Anne of a Thousand
This
Days.
is the second girl whom he married, Anne Bouland. When later on he married her and said she's the queen. She reigned only for 100 days. For 1,000 days. After that, he executed her in order to remarry again. Altogether, Henry VIII married 8 wives.
Executed him.
He got her executed because she refused to say that he told her to
make up some story or something like that, so that they can get divorced or something like that. She refused?
And she refused.
Oh.
She says, no, I am the official wife. And you had promised that I will be the queen.
She wanted to put up the honor, have an honor.
That's right.
That was maybe important for her.
So he became the supreme. He broke away from the Catholic Church. Okay. His advisors, some advisors to him, told him, the only way you can marry Anne Boleyn is you break away from the church and you declare yourself as the head of the church in England. And that is how you have the Anglicans.
So the king would declare himself as the leader of the church itself. The
church
of the
itself.
Christian faith itself.
In England.
In England. Okay.
And
okay.
In England. And everybody had to, all his ministers and everybody had to accept him as now the leader, as the official leader of the Christian faith in England. And they are referred to as the Anglicans. The other one is the Roman Catholics. They had allegiance to the Pope. Now these people had to have allegiance to the king of England. Henry VIII was not only a king ruler, he was also the religious head.
So right now these
Anglicans
yes, have allegiance to the queen.
To the queen, yes.
Oh,
the Queen of England. The Queen of England is their head. You see. And then Henry VIII, what is the word used? Henry VIII got all his ministers and all these well-known people in England, you see, during his time.
Basically made a monarchy rule.
Yeah. He wanted all of them to agree with him that he is the head of the church. And many people who are Catholics disagreed. And he executed many of them. And one of the most famous chancellor in his time, the prime minister, was a person by the name of Thomas More. Thomas More.
Yeah, I have heard about him, I guess.
So he wanted him. He thought, like, if he gets all these important people to accept him as the religious leaders, then everybody else will say yes. Since these top fellas have agreed.
It's political, all political, I guess.
See? But so many people refused, and Thomas More also refused. And Thomas More was executed. He resigned his chancellorship, and his family people also told him, his daughters and his children. But Thomas More was a very staunch Roman Catholic. He believed in the supremacy of the Pope and in the teaching of the Catholic Church. He refused and he was executed. And they have made a movie on the life of this Thomas More. It's called A Man of a Thousand Days, Man of All Seasons.
Man of All Seasons.
Man of All Seasons is the name of that movie. It's available.
Everything is available.
Saint Thomas More. The Catholic Church has made him a saint because he stood by the teaching of the Catholic Church, and he was a good man, loyal to the Pope. So like that, this Henry VIII executed a lot of people. You see, so many hundreds of important people were executed during his time.
Talking about the Catholic Church today, right now, at this stage, in India especially, people are not that religious that they used to be. That is somewhat because of the Renaissance. After after science began, after exploration in science began, the faith in religion decreased a lot. In Christians, it's a bit different. On every Sunday, every Christian is supposed to attend Mass.
Yes.
But in Hindus, there is no particular structure as seen in Christianity. There is no structure.
Yes.
As a result, the youth today, they don't have the value systems. Mama rag do bas. Thank you. Thank you so much. My mother made this.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
So, as a result, people who are watching this, people who are listening to this right now, chances are that they're not a believer in religion, basically. Take any religion. Take Christianity, take Hinduism, basically anything. How do you think, how would you propose that religion is important to us? I mean, for me, I did my research, and for me, I read Jordan B. Peterson's Maps of Meaning, where he said that the existential nature of being consists of two fundamental things: a forum of things, and that extends for science, and a forum of meaning that extends to values, that extends to religion, myths, mythology, and structure, basically value in life. People don't follow religion. Do you think that somewhere something is going to go wrong? Should we follow religion? Should we accept these values today? I mean, because today reality is they're not. What do you think about that?
Well, you see, you have what we call organized religions. Christianity now started. Actually, the basis of Christianity goes back to the Jewish times.
Genesis 1.
Jewish times. And then Jesus Christ
came a lot later.
Came as a Jew. And the Jews were expecting somebody to come and free them from the Roman rule. According to their history, their past history, it was foretold that someday somebody will come, a king will come, a ruler, and he will lead the Jews and free them from the Roman rule.
I guess they actually believed that the Emperor Augustus was that ruler.
No. A Messiah. Somehow they had prophets who foretold that a Messiah would come one day and free them. And but Jesus Christ came. When he came, he said he is the Messiah, not to free them from the Roman rule, but to free them from certain other ideas that they had of God. Of God, and free them in that sense. You see, that free man from what, according to Christianity, freedom from sin, and and make them a people who can believe in a God of love and equality and various things. But and what Jesus did, some of these Jews did not come up to what the Jews expected of Jesus Christ. So they thought Jesus was questioning the way they were preaching religion, and the way they were suppressing the poorer people, and so Jesus questioned a lot of those things. So they thought Jesus was come to be against them rather than with them. And they thought, because of Jesus Christ, that more Jews would be killed by the Romans. So they had a custom, and they said, Jesus was only a revolutionary. He is questioning us and telling us, saying that we are not living. The Jews were very, very structured, you see, the followers of Judaism. They believed in Yahweh, and what they call Yahweh. Yahweh was the one God that Abraham is supposed to have. So they were followers of Abraham, you see. And they believed that a savior would come to save them from the Roman rule. But Jesus came, he said, I have not come to save you from the Roman rule. I've come to set you free
from your sins.
From your sins. And from, not loving your neighbor and doing all kinds of other things,
So
injustice.
What would be the values, the top values that Jesus Christ, through his sacrifice, basically wanted to indulge in the society? What would be those 3, 4,
You
5
see,
values?
Jesus Christ was questioned, he said. Jesus Christ said, you live according to the teaching of Moses, 10 Commandments. Moses was supposed to be the person who
Freed the slaves.
The Jews were in Egypt. They had become, the Egyptians had enslaved them. And then they were working for for the Egyptians. Then they were hoping to get their freedom and go to some country that God had promised to give their ancestors, which was Israel. You see, the land of Canaan, which is now Israel. So Moses, finally, he was also a Hebrew. They were called Hebrews. He was somehow saved as a child and taken to the Egyptian queen. Princess was on the banks of the Nile, and she brought him up as her son. So he grew up in the as a princely man in the Pharaoh's palace, you see. So then later on, he came to know that he was not an Egyptian but a Hebrew.
And Hebrews were slaves?
Yeah, and Hebrews were slaves.
So basically, it was a shock for Moses that, he was supposed to be a prince, a nobleman.
That's right.
And he was a slave instead.
So that was the movie, The 10 Commandments. If you see the movie 10 Commandments, that will give you a whole picture of it.
The 10 Commandments.
So then Moses, when he found out that he was not a Egyptian but a Hebrew, then he was banished. He's supposed to have killed an Egyptian who was whipping or beating some of these slaves. And when he came to realize that he was himself a Hebrew, he is supposed to have killed an Egyptian a soldier or a man who was sort of overseeing the slaves working. He killed him. Then this news came to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh said, came to know that he's a Hebrew, so he was banished. So instead of killing him, he was given just sufficient food and water, and he was said, now you disappear into the desert area.
So the story is that he took the Jews, he freed the Jews, and he took them to that desert.
Yes.
And they lived there for how many years?
So then what happened was, then this Moses somehow survived. Okay. And he went he went across the desert, and somehow he survived and came to some place where some Hebrews were living. Not those who were under slavery. There were some other Hebrews living in some part, you see. So he came there, and then they were living at the foot of Mount Sinai. They were shepherds, and he came and he lived with them. And then while looking after the sheep, you see, of a person by the name
of community.
That community. A person by the name of Jethro. His name was Jethro. And he had about 6 or 7 daughters only. Okay. And he had his flocks of sheep and various things, living in an oasis. So under the Mount Sinai. So then Moses went up to the mountain. One day he used to see thunder and the mountain all lit up and all, and he was told that is the holy mountain of God, that these Jews believed in. Yahweh, that is his mountain, and nobody can goes there. But he said, no, I want to go and see, meet this God, who's supposed to be the God of the Hebrews, and they are all in slavery. So then he climbed up the mountain, went on top, and then when he went on top, he's supposed to have seen a bush, a burning bush, but it was not getting burnt. The whole bush was all lit up as if it was burning, and same time it was not getting burnt. So then a voice spoke to him and said, you're on holy ground, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac, and I'm the God that these Hebrews are supposed to worship, and they are slaves, they are my people. So now you will go and you will go and talk to Pharaoh and try and really get them out of Egypt and bring them to this mountain to worship me, and then I will give them the land of Canaan that I promised to Abraham and his descendants. It's all history of the Jews, you see. So it's all based on the history of the Jews.
So that was Genesis 1. That was all
Exodus. That is called Exodus, not Genesis.
That is not
That is called Book of Exodus.
Exodus.
Exodus means to go out, exit,
Exodus.
to go out.
Yep.
So this movie, 10 Commandments, it's one of those, grandeur movies. When it was made about what, 60s, in the 50s or 60s. Movies like Ben-Hur, 10 Commandments, they were spectacular movies. How they made those movies in those days. You see, even today, with all this modern technology and all this, how they made this movie, Ben-Hur especially, and 10 Commandments in those days. And there's one scene where the sea is supposed to be parting, and a passage. Yes, when they were escaping from Egypt, getting away, and after some time when they had left, Pharaoh decided to go and catch them and bring them back. And then these people were going into getting away from Egypt, you see, going to this promised land of Canaan. They came across the Red Sea, and now they had to cross it. So
Moses somewhat, I think plugged his staff or something.
Well, Moses had the staff that he had, which God was using as like a rod in his hand. So he stood up on a sort of a cliff, and he said, "I'll show you the power of God, your God, the God of the Israelites, the Hebrews. He will make a path for you to free you from the slavery of the Egyptians." And he stood up, and in the name of Yahweh, he prayed, and the power of God parted that sea and made a path with the water on both sides, and dry land. And you could see the water in the movie, like you see, like this. But it's amazing how they did that in the studio. And then the Jews, all these, went through the sea, and when they reached the other side, meanwhile the Egyptian army caught up with them, and they were following them also in this passage that was made by parting of the sea. And then after the Hebrews all reached the other side, then Moses again stood up with the rod, and the sea came back to its original, and all the Egyptians were killed.
They were drowned.
They were all drowned.
By the God of Hebrews.
And the Pharaoh, who was also leading the army, he goes back. He goes back with the army, everybody dead. He goes back to his palace, and there his wife is there with her dead son, so the only son who died. And Pharaoh says, Moses' God is really God. He is a true God. And the gods that we are worshipping is all false God. Their God is is really God. So it's a wonderful movie. Of course, it won't come to the cinema halls nowadays.
No.
But it was.
Nobody goes to cinema halls these days. Everyone watches movies online on their laptops or Netflix or.
Yeah, but Ten Commandments can be even shown in these multiplexes. But because there are lots of people now who may not have seen it. You see?
Most of my listeners wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah, the Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur. In these movies they bring out a lot of true values. You don't have to believe exactly in what, but God is there. Religion, every person. In the beginning, religion comes in because of fear. There's some sort of a fear that there's some supernatural being is there. Kushwan Singh explains very well. I enjoy reading Kushwan Singh's books. He has written in some of his books with essays, on different topics. He explains very well, gives the reason why religion comes into. Everybody has to have some religion. And in the beginning, it starts off like this only. There's some fear, and then, all these kind of practices that come into religion. Of course, Jesus Christ, came. I don't know if he did not come to have an organized religion. He said, he told his disciples, go and preach.
He just gave the basic ideology of the foundation of Christianity.
To love your neighbor as yourself. You say, love your neighbor as yourself, and to do good to others, and to worship your God. But he did not start this Christianity as an organized Christianity. This started later, afterwards only.
It started around about 1200 years ago, right?
It started.
The Bible
was existing. The Bible is actually divided into two parts. Okay. What is called the Old Testament and New Testament. Old Testament is all about the history of the Jews, and then beginning of Jesus is coming. Then Christianity, the second part of
that is the New Testament.
Yeah, is the New Testament. In the New Testament, you have the 4 Gospels. Gospels is all about the life of Jesus and what he did during the 3 years that he lived. Went around preaching about God and giving people the correct idea of worshipping God and how it should be done. So,
with my take on religion, I read a lot of Jordan B. Peterson's work. He's a Harvard professor, and he studied religion a lot, especially Christianity. And he gave the most scientific basis of religion and why we need it. So basically, he told that our brain has evolved into 2 hemispheres. That is whole scientifically based thing. That those 2 hemispheres consist of basic 2 fundamental inputs. अगर मैं हिंदी में समझाऊं अपने listeners को, तो हमारे जो evolution हुआ है ना, evolution के हिसाब से हमारे जो fundamental being के 2 fundamental parts है, that is chaos and order. Basically, if you want to lose weight, the best thing that I did was intermitting fasting. With diabetes, you have to adjust a little bit here and there for the fasting, but the basic idea is a 16 to 8 ratio of fasting and eating. There's 24 hours. You fast for 16 hours and then you eat for 8 hours. If you're diabetic, then you have to eat some candy. If the sugar gets low, if you feel that the sugar in your body is getting low, then you eat a little bit candy or something like that to stabilize it. But in over time, in 3 or 4 months, your body will get adapted to fasting. So I was 118 kilos in January, in this January. And now I'm 80. I'm 89 kilos.
But you're almost my weight, and I'm also that much.
So
but you don't look.
my height.
Yeah, you're taller.
I'm a little taller.
For your height, 80 kilos okay.
But you know, I
I'm
lost
almost 90.
I lost nearly about 30 kilos through intermitting fasting. And it's really amazing. It's really amazing. If you fast for a month or so, it will reset your whole immune system. The whole immune system. And it is really important in these days, because in these days we have COVID. And the best way to fight it is to have a good immune system.
Immunity, yeah, that's true.
You know, we are in middle of a community breakout. It will not go away soon. The Spanish flu went away just like that. So it will take time to go away, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, the best thing you can do is to build your immunity. So I'll recommend to you, and you'll have to ask the doctors. You know, I'm a doctor, but I'm not certified to tell you anything.
You're not a diabetologist.
Yep. So what I did was intermittent fasting, and I recommend that to anyone, to everyone. Basically, what happens in intermittent fasting is when you fast, your liver produces keto bodies, and keto bodies, when the keto bodies produced in your liver goes into your blood and goes to your fat cells, and there the keto bodies dissolves the cell membrane of the fat cells. It basically dissolves the fat to use that as an energy source. So if you fast for 12 hours, after 12 hours, your body will produce keto bodies, your liver will produce keto bodies, and if you extend that period from 12 to 16 hours, in those 5 hours, your body will be burning fat at an enormous rate. So what I did was, I ate 2 meals. One at 12 p.m. in the afternoon, 12 in the afternoon, and one at 8. And I ate basically everything. So if you're a diabetic person, I recommend you to eat less carbs, carbohydrates, less carbohydrates.
Bread,
chapatis, and basically greens too.
Rice.
Those will
Starch.
That starch.
You have to avoid that.
The adaptation period for that would be quite enormous. You'll suffer basically. Your body will make you suffer for those carbs. It is a craving system that we have developed. The humans have developed for a long time. So your body will crave for carbs. But after 3 or 4 or 5 months, your body get adapted. It's really amazing how fast the human bodies get adapted to new foods.
Yeah.
And then you'll see that you have a clearer mind, because if we eat less carbohydrates, we'll have a clearer mind, we'll have less fat. If we are less obese, then it's all good. It's amazing. And I recommend that to you or anyone. In the Hindu religion, we used to have fasts every week.
Yeah.
I think we are supposed to.
Yeah, I know a lot of teachers I've been associated with in Missouri. They fast on Tuesdays or what? What's Tuesdays?
Tuesday. Basically, it depends on the god that you're worshipping.
Yeah.
So in Hindus, we have many gods. We have 33,000 crore gods. Can you believe that? We have basically a god for everything.
Yeah, God for
33,000 crore gods.
Yeah.
And it depends on the god that you're worshipping.
That's right.
In Hindu religion, the 2 supreme deities are the Brahma and Shiva. I guess
Brahma, there's only one temple somewhere in India, that is in Gujarat or Rajasthan or somewhere. There is one temple to Brahma. Others they say Brahma is the creator, but there are no temples of and worship of Brahma. Shiva is the main one, the preserver and the destroyer, is it? So Shiva is Brahma is the creator, Shiva is the destroyer, and then who's the third one? Vishnu,
I guess God Vishnu. I don't know.
Preserver.
The preserver.
So these 3. So Vishnu also you don't hear so much. Shiva is the main person.
Because he's the destroyer, right? Everyone is afraid of the destroyer, I guess. But basically, it's amazing. I studied Jordan B. Peterson talking about the chaos thing, the chaos and order. We evolved to produce, to make, or basically evolve to have two systems, order and chaos. That's why our brain is divided into two parts, two hemispheres.
Oh.
So one is activated when we see order. When we know, what is order? Order is something that is supposed to happen, that we know that is supposed to happen, will happen. And chaos is when the unknown happens.
Okay.
So basically there was a problem with us. As we got more intelligent, we had to, produce a structure to grow as a civilization, to grow as a species. And we have that thing, that primal urge of order and chaos. Chaos is when we see a predator, and order is when we see a family. There's a lot of theories that explains that. But as evolution happened, these two things happened. There were many things unknown. There are still many things unknown. What religion did was, it basically is a weapon that we can use to drive through chaos. That's what religion is, and everyone needs religion, man. If you don't have religion, you won't have those basic value systems. You won't think about sacrifice. You won't think about all these good things that religion, the gods teach us, right? And if you don't have that value system, things like the 20th century will happen. Now, what happened in 20th century? It was the most monstrous century of all time. The World War I happened. Millions died. The World War II happened. More millions died. Then the Cold War happened. The Holocaust happened. The Gulags happened. Most of the... have you read about the Gulags?
No, I have not read.
So basically, in the Cold War, the Soviet Union took shape. It followed Marxist principles. So basically what happened was, with the basic ideology of Marxism, they formed a structure, and it was chaotic. Arrest used to happen. The Soviet, there's a estimate that the Soviets killed 60 to 100 million people of their own through the gulags. There's a book written known as the Gulag Archipelago.
Yes.
It was by Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Yes.
And it describes all the monstrosity that the Soviets did to themselves. I mean, it was like we are eating our own selves. The community was eating their own selves. And it was because the Soviets were atheists. There was no structure. There was no religion. Chaos was everywhere. And if you follow the Marxist principle of equality in outcome, that every human is equal and there are no hierarchies, then it will produce the gulags. And the Holocaust happened. 6 million Jews died in the prison camps. An estimate. In the gulags happened, the 10 times of the number of the Holocaust died. But we are not taught about that. In Russia, the Gulag Archipelago is taught in the schools. But if you ask anyone, they don't know about the gulags and about Alexander Solzhenitsyn and about the Soviet Union, because most of the material was destroyed by the Soviet Union.
I think when that book came out in the beginning, in the 70s or sometime,
in the 80s.
In the 80s, was it? Yes. Then everybody was suddenly realized like this,
Well, what happened was a single manuscript of the book was somehow leaked to the Western society, Western community. The Soviet Union was present at that time. So when you have that Soviet Union system, the KGB and all the other organizations that they had, it was very tough for them to, actually publish any book. Let's just say the gulags, an accurate description of the Holocaust or the gulags, the monstrosity. People died, people starved to death, the farmers starved to death. The KGB, it is actually, explained there that the KGB will arrest anyone who will have an ideology, have an opinion. They will arrest them. If you're a vegetative person, basically, if you don't think that much, if your IQ is low, and even if your IQ is high, you don't speak that much, nothing would happen to you. But if you have an ideology, and we need an ideology, we need thinkers, we need philosophy to grow, right? So the KGB arrested them and sent them to the gulags. And there it was
gulags or concentration camps, is that?
Concentration camps, islands. So
that is north of Japan, north of Korea. That Vladivostok Peninsula. Shaklin, what is that? Peninsula? There's a peninsula.
Gulags happened in archipelago. And archipelago were islands.
Yeah, islands, okay.
So,
On that eastern side of Russia.
so just see the pattern. See the countries that didn't follow any religion. It's China, it's Russia, it was Germany at some extent.
But Hitler's time.
I mean, at Hitler's time, Hitler didn't follow any religion,
Yeah.
and look what he did.
Yeah.
He murdered so many people, and then Mao's China and Stalin's Russia was even more murderous.
Yeah.
But we hadn't talked about that because the World War didn't happen because of them. So it's amazing. It's amazing, and I'll tell you more about it. So, anyways, we have order, we have chaos.
Yeah.
Religion, what any religion does, it gives a structure to explore the chaos.
Yeah.
And that is important to grow. It's amazing. I study the human physiology. I study the human psychology. I have. I study a lot things.
You're in a different level than all of us. We are still.
No.
I don't
Sir,
read much of this philosophy and all these things. I'm just quite happy with what I have, my knowledge, and over the years now.
Everyone needs something, right?
And now over the years, even even though I'm a Christian, I'm open to people. I don't say everybody should become a Christian. Those who feel attracted to Christianity, if it makes you a better man, it makes you a better person.
Then that's important.
And gives you a broader outlook and treat everybody as your equal. You live your life. Your life should be an example to others.
It should be meaningful.
Yeah, that's that.
Everyone is these days. Everyone is running around for money.
Yeah,
everyone wants money. But what would they do with money?
Yeah.
Actually, there's a scientific theory that any human cannot spend more than $400 million in his lifetime, even if he wanted to. Like, if I gave you $1 billion, you won't be able to spend more than 400 million. And it's seen that the pattern in psychology has seen that the more richer you get, your problems will evolve. The problem will remain same. It's about finding a meaning. Sir, let me tell you, as a child, I was nothing. I was no one. I studied in St. Mary's Academy. I wasn't good at studies. I wasn't good at even sports. I wasn't that good at sports. I was a mediocre child. I didn't have a meaning. Basically, I was in chaos. The thing that happened was, in St. Mary's, when I was in St. Mary's, there's a lot of things that were happening with me. And those things affected me a lot. These were happenings, and these were this, and these were that. My childhood was really unstable. My family was really unstable. My father and mother didn't have a stable relationship, and that affected the children's, I guess.
All right.
And anyways, I'm so grateful for them because they, when I was getting admission, I remember Brother Paul took my interview. Brother Paul, along with
Brother Paul Chulli, yes, Brother Paul Chulli, short man. He was here last year.
I met him. Last year I met him, and he took my interview along with Trivedi ma'am.
Okay.
Trivedi ma'am was one of the teachers there.
English teachers.
She's an amazing human, seriously. And my mother told him, and I clearly remember this, that my mother, she doesn't know English. She speaks in Hindi. So she told Brother Paul, that मेरे सिर्फ एक सपना है कि मैं जिसमें कुछ ना करूं तो बस अपने एक लड़के को पढ़ा दूं अच्छे से सेंट मेरीज में.
I see.
So most of the kids who are watching this, their parents do think this. उनके पेरेंट्स का जस्ट ड्रीम ये था कि उनका बच्चा बहुत अच्छे स्कूल में पढ़े. And the structure that the Christian schools provide is unparalleled. Believe me. Until 10th I was in St. Mary's. After 10th I went to MPS. It was one of the the sickest school that I have ever been to, because the crowd there was so bad.
Yeah.
So
MPS is Meerut?
Public school.
Okay.
I'm defaming the school, I know, but that is a fact. Those 2 years, class 11th and class 12th, were the most
Why
horrible.
did you leave St. Mary's? Couldn't you do your +2 also here?
No,
the subject.
I wanted to pursue NEET, the competition exam.
Oh,
The
I see.
NEET.
Okay.
So I wanted to switch to CBSE.
Oh, you wanted to do the other board, CBSE board.
Yep. Because the NEET is based on CBSE syllabus,
Oh,
not ICSE syllabus,
okay.
not ISC syllabus.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think these days, what would you recommend? Like these days, because every parent want their kids to become a doctor or an engineer. Majority parents.
Yeah, that's true.
That
Middle class families.
middle class family want their kids to be doctors and engineers. The thing happens is, they feed that dream to the kids so much so that he just didn't think anything else. He can't even possibly imagine that he won't be a doctor or she won't be an engineer.
They don't know what else.
So they wanted to prepare for NEET and they wanted to prepare for IIT, JEEs and advanced. And the thing happens in Kota. I went to Kota after my 12th. I personally saw 3 suicides in my hostel. Suicides. Kids died. So you were born in the Nilgiris.
Yeah, Nilgiris is a hill district in Tamil Nadu. It's on the border of Karnataka and Kerala in the western side. Northwest Tamil Nadu is the Nilgiri Hills. And Nilgiri Hills is famous for tea gardens. There's lots of tea cultivated in the Nilgiris. Basically tea, and then also they cultivate a lot of these temperate vegetables that don't grow in hot places, like carrots and cabbage and beans and peas and various things. So in this Nilgiri Hills, which is a district, it's the Nilgiri district. It is part of the Western Ghats. And the British developed, they were, like Missouri was developed by the British, Darjeeling, Shimla. So they wanted a hilly area where the climate would be cool. Otherwise, Chennai and all that, the plains was very hot. And they were getting sick and all, so they found these hills and they went up in the beginning, climbed up, and wild animals and all this. Somehow they slowly developed it. And out of nothing. And then they realized that the climate was suitable for planting tea and coffee. But there were people already living in the Nilgiri Hills. The natives, they were called Badagas. They were actually from Mysore, from Karnataka side. They were chased by basically Tipu Sultan's time. Tipu Sultan's time, when he was in Mysore area, that part of southern Karnataka. These people all ran away and went off into the Nilgiri Hills. And they became the original settlers of the Nilgiri Hills. And before them, there were also some very ancient people called the Todas. They are considered to be the original people of the Nilgiri Hills, but they were few in number. Some say, when you're studying anthropology, some say that they go back to Greek times because of Greeks. I don't know how. They claim that.
Sir, ko khane bhi do, please.
This is lunch, I hope. I'm not able to.
Now this is not lunch. These are snacks.
Oh, there's a lot of snacks.
These are called pakoras.
Yes, I know.
So it's
Yes.
Thank you, Mama.
So I won't be able to eat for 2 days.
Don't worry about that. You can come anytime you want for some delicious Indian food, North Indian food.
Yes.
Mama makes tasty food.
Yeah.
Please have some. So you can just play with the mic. Just,
Okay.
and we can have a conversation like that.
Can I use the toilet, please?
This is. Please, I'll pause the record.
Chettinad.
Chettinad.
Yeah. It is very close to Tanjavur side. So the people who lived there originally, the other day I was watching something on television and I said, there, every house is built like a palace.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a business class of people called Chettiars. Chettiars. In Tamil Nadu, they are called Chettiars. They were the original people of that particular part of Tamil Nadu, which is called Chettinad. And they have their houses all built more or less in the same style, with nice big open verandas and a lot of woodwork. So in Tamil Nadu, you can get food in special restaurants. They are called Chettinad food.
Chettinad.
Yeah, so the hotel is called Chettinad Hotel. So pungency, they make a lot of their dishes. Food is
Spicy.
very spicy. Like you have vegetarian food, or else you have Chinese, or you call what is this North Indian they call Mughalai.
Shahi
Paneer and all, but Mughalai restaurants, no. So like that in Tamil Nadu, you do find restaurants where it's displayed on the board, Chettinad. So it's Chettinad food. So you get all the type of foods that is prepared in that part of Tamil Nadu, Chettinad.
So anyways, we were talking about you. So your grandfather was a British.
From my father's side,
Your grandfather, from your father's side.
was an Englishman, yes,
Was an
British.
Englishman.
They came here as a group to Sri Lanka, I think,
Okay.
to work. I don't know, they probably, a lot of Britishers, already India was under British rule. So a lot of British people thought they may like to make their fortunes in India and come to India and see how it is and work here. So they came basically to Sri Lanka, and then from Sri Lanka and the Nilgiris, they were on the tea plantations. And they settled, and then some of them went back
After independence.
after some time. No, before independence.
Before independence.
Before independence. Some went back, some stayed on here only. They didn't go back. And then they married an Indian and they settled here. And they died here. And so my father's father was for my father's side, my grandfather was an Englishman. And he just married an Indian woman. So we are called Anglo-Indians.
Anglo-Indians.
So I was born, my father was on the railways.
Railways.
He worked on the in the railways in South India.
South India.
During the British time, all these Anglo-Indians who were of this mixed blood, European and Indian blood, they were given jobs on the railways. They more or less ran the railways. All over, even in the north, Muradabad, Saharanpur, and Lucknow, and all these places. They have in the colonies, railway colonies, lot of Anglo-Indians. They were running more or less the railway system. Was basically the Anglo-Indians. They were running. They take pride in saying that we ran the railways. You see. Then after British time, well, a lot of them, they did not have, say higher education, all, but they knew. They were all steam engines in those days. The steam engines were
Run with the coal thing.
coal, yeah, burning at the coal. Steam engines. The steam engines actually ran until the early 70s.
That long?
Yeah, early 70s.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe for 100 years in India they were running on steam. Then slowly diesel came in. Diesel, everything switched over to diesel. Then for maybe 10-15 years it was all diesel engines. Then from diesel now they have all been electrified, which is faster, cleaner,
Efficient.
more efficient,
Better for the
faster, you
ecosystem.
see, and you have those steam engines now in some areas where it is slightly hilly areas, the steam engines, like I remember traveling from Chennai to Delhi in 1967.
67. That's a long time.
Yeah, 60 years ago, from Chennai there was a train called the Grand Trunk Express. Grand Trunk Express from Chennai to Delhi. So you got into that and you were 3 nights and 3 days in the train. And by the time you reach Delhi, you're almost, because of the coal dust coming out from the engine, it all comes in through the windows.
That must be really.
There was no AC
bad.
compartments.
There
There's
was no
only sleeper class and first class. So you in the sleeper class, you're almost windows are open, and that coal dust comes out from the funnel of the engine. And in central India, you have to cross some mountains. You have to cross the Vindhya mountains, the Vindhyas, and the Satpura. All that is all hilly area, you see.
Yeah.
So the train is winding and going through tunnels, and there is gradients here and there in between. So in these places, the number of coaches also was less, maybe only 15 maybe. And they had to put double engine, one engine in front.
For 15 coaches.
Yeah.
The efficiency was not that good.
Yeah. Well, they did not have that pulling power, no. Not that efficiency.
Compared to present.
That was the power the engines had. But they had an engine in front and one at the back. One was pushing, one was pulling to come through these mountainous areas. Today you have just one locomotive in the front. And that is flying through the,
that would do everything.
with 24 coaches
Yep.
at the back, you see.
Yep.
So they are more powerful.
Times are changing.
Times are changed, you see.
At a really amazing pace.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you were in the Nilgiris.
So then my father was on the railways in Tamil Nadu. That time it was Madras province.
Madras province.
Yeah.
Okay.
And since he was born in the hills, after working for a few years, about 10-15 years on the railways, he was very interested in hunting. In those days you could hunt. You see, wild
60s,
animals.
50s.
Yeah. 50s, 60s also. And it came up to the 70s.
After that,
things changed. Hunting was permitted. And my father was interested in hunting. And so he resigned from the railways. And he went back to the hills. And started working in the hills, in the tea gardens, and being an assistant manager or something. He had some land that he inherited, about 5 acres of land, and they were all growing tea, and there was forest areas around, and there was hunting. So this is how our life was. We were cut off from the main town. It was far out of the main town. So then when we grew up slightly, we had to go to school. So then we were in a far out area where there was no school. Then somebody helped us to join the school in Kannur. There were 2 or 3 towns like Kannur, Kotagiri, and Ooty. These were the
Ooty is quite famous.
Yeah, Ooty is a famous place. It's like Mussoorie Hill Station. Yep. Ooty was the main town in the Nilgiri Hills. Then Kannur is another small town where you also have the Defence Service Staff College, Wellington, that is called, and it's the headquarters of the Madras Regiment. Madras Regiment have the headquarters there, and there is a Defence Service Staff College where all these officers go for 6 months training. So in that Kannur town, we have a school called St. Joseph's Boys School.
St. Joseph's Boys School.
Yeah. So they had a boarding, and we were recommended by, we were Catholics, Christians, and this school also belonged to the Patrician brothers. And at that time they were all Irish brothers. There was in the 50s. In the 50s. So somebody helped us to join the boarding. We hardly paid any fees, because in these Patrician brothers, Catholics were given. They took a certain number of students, free boarders. They knew that they were from economically weaker sections. And there are other paying boys, non-Christian boys also in the boarding.
So you studied there until which year?
So I studied there from myself and my 2 elder brothers. Okay. We joined school Myself and my second brother, we joined class 1 in 57. My elder brother did not have any schooling, but he joined in class 4.
Okay.
And then I studied there up to class 10. We had class 11. In those days, in the schools, it was only up to class 11.
Okay. Then that was inter.
Yeah.
University.
Yeah, then after that, even in St. George's, senior Cambridge was up to class 11 only. Senior Cambridge was not to class 12. It was only up to class 11. But we had a Tamil Nadu board. It was called Anglo-Indian Board of Tamil Nadu. Not senior Cambridge, it's a different board. So I did that board up to class 11. Even senior Cambridge was up to class 11, but that was a different board. That was an all India board, senior Cambridge.
The CBSE.
It was called the senior Cambridge.
Okay.
It was called senior Cambridge. Even St. Mary's Academy was senior Cambridge.
It was founded in 1957, I guess.
52.
52.
So they were doing senior Cambridge. Mount St. Mary's, which was started in 62.
In Delhi.
62 or 63, they were also doing senior Cambridge. Then St. Joseph's Academy, Dehradun, they were all doing the senior Cambridge. But I did this class 11, Tamil Nadu board. And then coming from a Christian background, you see, we have this that you can dedicate your life to follow Jesus by not marrying and joining a society whereby you can be of service to others, and also living this life
with a meaning.
Yeah, with a meaning under certain rules and regulations.
Governed by the
You'll
board
get
of Christian church.
you'll get more time for to perform spiritual exercises, and by serving others you will lead a good life. You lead a good life and a spiritual life, and commit yourself to following Jesus, Jesus' teaching and principles of life to serve others. So we were taught about these things from childhood onwards. So there are priests, brothers and sisters in the Christian organization where we voluntarily give up marriage. Not that anybody is forcing you. I chose to become a brother. I like this. I have seen the other brothers in the school there living, and they were examples of discipline, orderliness, sacrifice, and at the same time, a meaningful life. You see, it's a sort of a calling, and then you feel attracted towards it. Of course, majority of us are attracted to married life. That is biologically is there. But to give it up for something,
you have to sacrifice that for something that has even greater meaning in life. And that resulted in, I guess, lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of lives made. You thought, I guess, I don't know. We cannot literally estimate.
Yes.
Can you estimate how many students did you taught in your career right now, until now?
Oh, some thousands, I guess.
Lakhs. Thousands is
I don't know.
Lakhs.
Thousands.
But anyways, so...
so then I decided to... there are so many societies like us. Different societies.
In the Christian church?
Yes, in the Catholic Church.
In the Catholic Church.
You see, somebody starts that and says, you come, somebody started, some person who was a spiritual minded person said, we will do this kind of work. We will run schools and we'll be basically teachers.
So,
some other society will say, we will run hospitals.
Okay.
And there are hospital of brothers where they mainly run hospitals, and the brothers there also are qualified as nurses.
One of the hospitals is in route between Meerut to Muzaffarnagar. I can't remember the name, but
maybe run by sisters.
Run by sisters.
Yeah, sisters. So mainly sisters are running hospitals, but there are a few men also.
So there are associations or societies made for schools, hospitals, and what else?
Social work.
social work.
Then colleges also. There are.
In our school, we had an EWS society.
Yeah.
Then
No, that is a SUPW.
SUPW.
That is the students had to do something.
No. In St. Mary's, we had a different kind of approach. It's called evening classes. It is supported by the EWS society. And there, the kids, from the slums areas of Meerut are brought, and they are taught about Christianity, and they're given basic education, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know under which year they are given that kind of education. But it's really amazing, we need that kind of thing in the world. And
Well, these children now brought not to teach them about Christianity. Now, our school in Delhi, Mount St. Mary School, next to it there is a village. So it's called Jareda Gaon. And there are a lot of children there, whose parents are sweepers and this and that and all. Children running around, they don't have a proper place to play. And in the evening time, they are studying in some schools. Some Hindi
Sorry
medium.
sir, मुझे बता देना चाहिए था कि चटनी तीखी है.
Yeah. Basically, it is to work out your own spiritual life. You see, in Christianity, we believe that you have to lead a good life and try and get closer to Jesus. And you don't have to convert people, like in all our schools. So, like in Delhi, these children, they have no place to play. So, in the evening, after the school is over, school is closed, these children are rounded up. And we have appointed 2 or 3 teachers for them. And they are brought into the school, and they sit in the classroom, they do their homework, teacher supervises them. And then they go to the ground, and they play some games and this and that.
So you joined the Brotherhood in which year?
I after doing my class 10, then I decided that I will try out whether this life is suitable for me or not.
So in the 60s?
Yeah, 66.
66.
So then 67 I went to and stayed in a hostel where there were students like me. And there was a school nearby that was also a patrician school. So we were all staying in one hostel, and we were specially looked after, and we were doing our class 11. Then after we finished our class 11, if I thought, some fellows said, no, I don't think this life is suitable for me, they went away. But 6 of us, we had to come to Dehradun. Clementown, there was one institute where there was one brother, and we had to study about the brother's life. Why we are, what we are supposed to do in this life, and we are supposed to take 3 promises. That is a vow of poverty, chastity, and obedience. After 1 year, what are the implications?
So what explain the vows?
So vow means it's a solemn promise. It's a solemn promise to God and to the people who are witnesses that you are giving up marriage.
Giving up marriage. First.
And everything is associated with marriage. So, in other words, you will not have sexual relationship. Out of choice. Out of choice. That you won't get married. So you want to have a family. You see, so then we all live together. Now, if I don't have a family, I can go. If I'm told go there, I can go there. If I'm told you transfer to this place, I can go there. Because I don't have to, I have no family. You see, if I'm a family man, I have to look after my wife. I have to look after my children.
But if you don't have a family, you have a lot of people to look after.
I'm a free man, see. So I can be free. And it's a life that, some people can't understand how. Because biologically speaking, we are sexual beings.
Primal beings.
To give up that attraction towards the opposite sex, unless something greater, something else must fill in that vacuum. You can't be a vacuum. So you give it up and you're trying to follow Jesus. Jesus also did not marry. Because he can say, so we have tried to follow Jesus, and so we come to Clementon, take this vow of chastity. That means you will avoid all sexual relationship that is permitted in marriage and no family. But you are expected to be a happy person and a fulfilled person if you live with certain discipline and following certain rules.
Basically, if you have spirituality, if you have
yeah.
that value structure, and that
a-
value structure will,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Value
that,
structure, and then something, the love of Jesus has to be there. I feel you are giving it up for Jesus' sake. So then Jesus has to fill your mind and your thinking, and you're growing closer to Jesus. You're understanding Him better. And for the sisters, they consider themselves as bridegroom of Jesus.
okay, bridegroom of Jesus. Okay,
So they are supposed to be the bride and Jesus is the groom.
okay.
That's how they're supposed to look at it. So they give up their life.
So if they look it that way, that will make it easier for them to create that value structure. Okay. And so you gave up marriage. The second vow was
Then vow of poverty.
poverty.
Poverty means you won't be attached to material things.
You won't be materialistic.
You won't be attached,
Attached.
and you will be satisfied and happy with the basic minimum.
Okay.
What is your necessity?
Okay. So
The society will provide you with food and lodging, and with what you think you need for living a proper life, a common life. We all lead a common life. We have common food. If somebody is unwell and if he needs something special, it's provided. But others, we have common life. We all live the same life, whether you're a principal or an ordinary brother or your vice principal, headmaster. We are all living together as a family.
okay.
So the vow of poverty is you give up ownership of things,
Ownership of things.
and you're not looking for all the latest and the best of material things.
Yeah.
You see, like some of these sadhus,
Yep.
they have the basic.
Just the basics.
See? So that is vow of poverty, that I don't have ownership.
So in that pursuit, you had to give up your family too, right? Your family inheritance, all that to your.
You have to get up here. You have to give it to your brothers, or you're allowed when you decide to become a brother, you have to write out what is going to happen to your inheritance.
Okay. As a will kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you.
As a will.
That's a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's a big sacrifice. Anyways, then the third vow is
Third vow is one of obedience.
obedience.
Obedience means you see, we are all coming from different backgrounds, and background means Keralites, Tamils, Anglo-Indians, Mangalorians, North Indians, all different backgrounds. But what is binding us is our vision that Christianity, Jesus Christ, He's the one who's binding us. And as followers of Jesus, we are coming together. Now, and then we are structured. You see, now we will have now, for example, in Meerut now, we are about 5 of us. One brother is unwell; he's on wheelchair.
I've met him.
Yeah.
He's brother
Brother Anthony,
Anthony. Okay.
he's been unwell for the last 4 or 5 years. He's a Maharashtrian,
Okay.
so he's looked after. He's provided his needs and he's looked after. And then there's another brother also. He's about 73 years old. He's from Bihar side. He was one of the first persons from Bihar who joined us.
Okay.
So he was well. His job is to go around and visit a lot of these Catholic schools, Christian schools, and where the churches are, and try to talk to the students. Students are studying in grade 10 or 11 about our life and if they would like to join us.
Okay.
So that is his job.
So you can actually do that.
Yes.
Like if you're not a Christian, that doesn't matter.
No,
Like
you have to be a Christian.
You have to be a Christian. And if someone is born in any other religion, let's say Muslim or let's say Hindu, and they want to, become a Christian and join the Brotherhood and basically give up all these three things, take these vows and join the Christian community and become a brother or a sister or whatever.
There are. But first you must be. What is binding us is our Christian faith. So a Hindu, first and foremost, he must become a Christian. Then if he values that Christian belief and principles and various things, and then if he values this way of life in Christianity, of giving up marriage and being ourselves, like take for example Mother Teresa's, the one who followed her, who came after her, was one Sister Nirmala. She was a Hindu. She's from Nepal. She was a student of Mother Teresa. And then she was attracted towards Mother Teresa so much, you see. And then she became a Christian. And then after becoming a Christian, she became a disciple of Mother Teresa. And then she became she held the highest post in that order.
Okay.
That's
amazing.
Her name was Sister Nirmala.
That's amazing.
She was a Nepalese, a Hindu woman.
Originally Hindu. Converted to Christianity because of the faith.
Because of it. Yep. And then joined Mother Teresa, and then she, after Mother Teresa died, you have to have a leader. So the topmost leader in our society is called a superior general. Just as you have the general of the army.
Okay.
General, we have a superior general, we refer to. So he's the man, the topmost man. Okay. He represents our society. Then we have what we call provinces, like India is a province. There are a lot of schools in India, and all the Indian brothers, they will form a province. And they will have a provincial. They have another leader in India called a provincial. He's the leader of India, all the brothers, and he will have about 4 assistants with him.
4 assistants. That's what Daniel Delaney did. He appointed 4 brothers, right?
Yeah, he started off with 4 brothers who joined him. Then later on more of them came. But we have in our leadership in India, we have the provincial and we have 4 people who are part of his council. So these 4 people, they sit together and they decide this school, so-and-so person will be principal there, and these brothers will work there. Then another school we have somewhere else, these brothers and the principal, and they will work there. So they have to, so this is a structure.
So in the starting, when you were starting out, when you recently joined the faith, you were sent to St. George's College.
Yeah.
You stayed there for how many years?
Yeah, I was there for 5 years. 5 years. Yeah, I was a new person and I was just doing the lowermost type of work. There was a principal, of course, who was teaching and administrating. I had no administrative job. I was fully involved with the students, but I was a brother. So I get no salary. I get my food. And whatever I require, there is one person there among the brothers. He is called the community leader. If I want anything, I go to him. Okay. Any requirement, then he will.
So the society is very structured.
Yes, structured.
Okay. We need structure.
So I will go to him and ask him. I require some money. I need a pair of shoes, or I may not have a wristwatch. I'd like to have a wristwatch. So you will, okay, he may ask how much you need. So now if I am a sincere person and a person who has joined meaning in this, I will buy an average. I won't go for a most expensive thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Money is available. I won't buy the most expensive things. I won't have the best type of suits. I live like the teachers are living.
A minimalist
Yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah, middle class person. I live
Middle
a
class
simple life and with bare minimum. That will give you happiness when you have the bare minimum. You know, instead of buying all expensive.
Today we are like beyond
So
materialistic.
the urge is there to collect more and more things and to have the best of things. And among the brothers also you will find some brother having less, some brother having expensive things. You see, so it's each individual's responsibility. Now I have joined in order to be detached from things and to live as simple as possible, to be a follower of Jesus. Nothing is compelling me. So I have to be sincere and honest. Well, there may be some insincere fellows also who will join, and then later on they get caught up with, they see a lot of material things, they see there is a lot of money, and they see others dressing and putting up all expensive things. Then they get carried away. Then they also start buying those things.
So how do you filter that out? How does the structure filter that out? I mean, are they taught? Are they educated? Are they checked?
Yeah, there is some checks and balances.
But overall, overall as a Hindu, as a North Indian who lives in Meerut, as I see St. Mary's, let's just take St. Mary's for example. I see thousands of students learning there, being important after learning, going off to explore their life, and they become an important part of society. We have many alumni, and the Patrick's brother have around, I guess, 20 something schools in India.
Yeah, we are about that.
20 something schools. That is amazing, sir. So you were in St. George for a lot of time.
Yeah.
Then you went to?
Then from Missouri, I went to Delhi. I was there in 73 for 1 year. Then I went back to Missouri.
Okay.
And I was there for maybe 4 or 5 years. Then, see, I was very useful in Missouri because I was, unlike some other brothers, I was talented in football, hockey, cricket. So I was fully involved with the boys, with the students. So they found me very useful in a boarding school. A day school, they felt some other brother who wasn't as talented in this line. There's no need for there were other brothers also there. They were maybe teaching a few classes, but they were not so involved as I was involved. So then after a few years, they transfer you to some other school.
So I have met one of the greatest person in my life who played a phenomenal role in what I am today. He was Brother George P.U.
George P.U. was here for a short while.
Yep.
He was a musician.
Yep. He was a musician, but mostly he was the vice principal of the school.
Yeah, but
believe me.
Yeah, but I don't know if he didn't teach anything except that he was a musician.
I guess
he played musician.
Maybe he
He was
taught
student friendly.
He was
very student friendly.
He is. Basically, everyone who would be hearing this or watching this, he would, if he is a Marian, and if he was lucky enough to come under Brother George, that guy literally is the best human ever. I mean, there are so many incidents where he personally, he used to have a personal relationship with the students. Anyone can come up to him and talk about his life, and he'll teach you many things. He is such an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And
so he was a simple chap, but he's now in Benaguri. He's there in school, St. James School. But the only problem with him is, in a boarding school where you require discipline.
That was something that Brother George didn't
where you require discipline, orderliness, punctuality, and these things. Brother George was
he was very student friendly.
He was too much. And in St. George's, he was there with me for a few years later on. Sometimes he can be his way of dealing things, and students were happy, but the management was not happy because he's discipline wise, you see.
And we need discipline.
Yeah. And in a school, boarding school especially, where you have to have punctuality, discipline, orderliness, and timings. You have to follow timings. With Brother George, he's
He's quite lenient. He's quite lenient. I get
too
that. I
lenient.
get that.
Yeah.
Well,
But otherwise, he's a good person. He's a sincere person,
Yep.
and he loves the children, and he likes to do gardening, and he's a bit of a musician.
Yep.
You see,
He is.
but he's not a teacher. And then he went to Pune. He was in Pune for a few years as a principal of the school. I don't know how he managed as a principal, but he was a principal. Now he's in Binaguri for quite a few years. He was here in Meerut for 1 or 2 years.
More than that, actually.
1 or
More
2
than
years.
1 or 2 years.
I think, about 2-3 years.
2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah, 2-3 years.
Anyways, we need discipline in our lives.
Yes.
Today we see the education system. We are wholly based on STEM education. Science, and we are taught about science and language and this and that. And moral sciences or religion,
Yeah.
in that case,
That's
we're
true.
taught less
Yeah.
about those, not that much, not how much there should be,
See,
especially in the early ages.
See, the thing is, in our schools, even though it is run by Christians, we cannot teach the students about Christianity. But Christian values,
That we can teach.
yes, Christian values. We are supposed to run our schools based on Christian values, like, love your neighbor, everybody is equal, and
Then we are taught, especially me, I'm a student, so I was taught discipline in many different ways, and we used to have moral sciences. It was the first period of the day. And
yes,
first
that was the
class of
first
day.
class. It may have been half an hour, value education. They were calling it moral science. Now they changed the term value education.
Value education.
Yeah, values. So values, principles, and now I think they have it twice a week.
Twice a week.
They have reduced it twice
Why is it getting
a
reduced?
week because there are so many subjects. You see,
That is
more
the
subjects,
problem, right?
more subjects have come in, and the syllabuses have become
Vast.
So you can't afford to have this model science.
Don't you think that there's a problem there? I mean, what
And
are the things, like, let's just take the basic things, like basic in science and basic in mathematics and basic in English and basic in language, and we take all those things.
Yeah.
That should be a constant.
Yeah.
Let's take the basics. But we should have a value education system too. That is so important. We should be taught philosophy, that isn't taught. We should be taught about the history, that isn't taught as much as it should be.
History of what?
History of basically everything. Like, we aren't taught about, let's just take the 20th century for example.
Yeah, but those things come later, no?
That comes later.
Later,
but
maybe in
that
class
too,
9 or
like,
10.
Like in
Yeah.
class 9, then in
And
class 10.
And philosophy and all as you go up higher. But at school level,
At least a
you want-
basic.
you want basic things, more basic things.
More basic.
Philosophy and all.
This is the basic of philosophy.
what-
Like it should be taught that we should have value systems.
Yeah, values. That is why they are being taught this value education, where and also now people have brought out different books where giving you all the basics of all the religions. Like a student should have the correct knowledge, basic knowledge of Hinduism, basic knowledge of Christianity,
and
basic knowledge
Islam.
of Sikhism, Islam, and all. There are books now meant for different classes where they are learning all the basic tenets of various religions.
So you as a person, if you ever get the chance to change one thing about the world, like just take one thing. If you want to just change the fabric of the society wholly in one thing, just one particular matter or one particular manner, what would that be?
Well, this you can tell people about Christianity, but don't
Force them.
bring them into your organized religion. Now, if you go to Varanasi, there are some Catholic priests who have got a church built like a Hindu temple.
Okay.
And
Really?
yeah,
The
and
name of that, do you remember the name of that?
they're called IMS Fathers, Indian Missionary Society.
Okay.
Indian Missionary Society, where the priests are dressed like sadhus only, the same kavi color, and
So there is a symbiosis basically between the Christian faith and the Hindu
yeah,
faith.
and there they only teach about Jesus's teachings, and then they have bhajans and they sing bhajans, and they just pray. So a lot of Hindus also come there.
It's amazing.
See, Hindus also come there.
We should have that
So,
symbiosis.
yeah.
So basically you're saying ki we should love thy neighbor.
Yeah. Love
Basically
that-
that's
yes,
what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah.
No matter what
And,
or who that neighbor is.
This organized religion is what is doing a lot of harm.
Yup, exactly,
And
exactly.
you say, now I'm trying to, as a Christian, to try and go and preach about Jesus to somebody. I tell them by my good actions and by loving them and by serving them and being available to them, helping them in any way I can.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, you see.
That's
But,
too a big part of this.
Not telling them you must come to church. No, you live basically like even Mahatma Gandhi, for example, he believed in Jesus and he was following Jesus' teaching. Love thy neighbor and do good to others. So, if we can somehow change, I believe quite a lot in Kushwant Singh, who says all these religious things should all be kept in your house and it should be within your four walls. You should not go out onto the road. These processions and Hindu processions and Christian processions all should be within your house. Pray to your God.
In India, the Hindu positions are made into a political debate. That's what is happening right now, as I see it. Hinduism, we don't have that kind of a structure that Christianity has. We have great mythological stories.
Yeah.
We have the Ramayana, we have the Mahabharata,
Yeah.
we have the Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
which was, I think, one of the oldest
Always,
texts
yes.
in Asian Homo sapien history. But we don't have that kind of structure, and maybe that is something we can learn from Christianity.
Yeah.
And basically, if someone is hearing this, he has heard about your life, and basically I'll interview some other brothers, and maybe hopefully, let's fingers crossed. Let's say he's a Christian. He's not a Christian, because he's a Christian. That's just one thing. Let's say he's not a Christian, but he wants to explore that part of his life where he would take these 3 vows and join the brotherhood, join the faith, become a Christian. What would be the steps that he or she would have to take?
See, the first thing is what is binding us now here now in St. Mary's. Okay, I am an Anglo-Indian. My outlook is different as an Anglo-Indian. Then there's a Tamil brother Edward now. He's a Tamil. Then there's brother Brito, or last year was brother Dennis. He's from Kerala. We are all from different backgrounds. What is really binding us is that faith in Jesus Christ.
Faith in the religion.
Faith in
Faith
Jesus
in
Christ.
Jesus Christ.
And because of that, we are able to live together. That is what is binding us. So if a person does not have that same belief, and the reason why we have all come together is to follow Jesus and to live this disciplined life and take these 3 vows and live together in peace. We may have differences, we may differ, we may have our own problems, but still we try our best to live together and to serve. I may go to another community where there may be somebody else from some other part of India, Bihari or somebody, but I consider him also a brother. He's a Christian.
Because of the faith.
Because of the faith.
That is integrated in your system. That is really important. Faith.
So that faith, you see. So if you're a Hindu and you come, you won't be able to join and live us, because suddenly when you find something that you don't like, to give that up and to for us, it's all. This is what is binding us.
The Hindus have
Christian
really
faith.
different value structures than the Christians. As a psychoanalyst, as I've read and I've researched about it a lot,
Yeah.
the Hindus have different value structures. We believe in karma. We don't believe in sacrifice that much.
Yeah.
That much. Like as compared to Christianity, we believe in karma. Like
Yeah.
do good and good will happen to you.
Yeah. Yes.
But in Christianity, is like you should sacrifice yourself
Yeah.
for others. That's what Jesus did, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that is amazing. You know, these religions took thousands of years to form. These mythological stories, even if they are stories, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
These took thousands of years to form. And it integrated into a structure that evolved with our brains. You know, we evolved after every generation. And these structures evolved with us. And it is so important, I guess, to have these structures.
Yeah.
And people are missing that. And I look to you as my teacher. I really wish, you know, the best for you. And I just hope that through this podcast, through this thing, others can learn what I have learned.
Yeah.
So that is that. So the thing is that if someone wants to become a brother or a sister, they have to become a Christian.
Yeah.
Study.
Yeah.
Study. You know, the teaching of Jesus.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes. Yeah.
And after that, you know, just leave that
Yeah.
up to the structure, the society
Yes.
that the Christians have already formed. The society has already formed.
Yeah.
That is amazing, sir. So there's just one last thing, and we'll close up after that. Many of my experienced friends were asking if they can come in the evening and play football with you. I mean, most of my experienced friends asked me, after this whole COVID things blows over,
Yeah.
when would you be available to play with us? Football, or cricket, or hockey, or whatever you like. I mean, we should
Well,
have
you
that
see,
kind of experience.
Now I don't play very much. Now I mainly supervise and I coach. I can train the boys and I can make them play and I can supervise. I'm a qualified referee in football, hockey, and cricket umpire. I can train the boys, make them play, and supervise them. But playing myself, I had a slip disc surgery. Slip disc surgery. I underwent surgery in the lumbar area, and then I also had a minor
Knee thing.
orthoscopic
Okay.
on the right knee. I twisted badly playing football,
Okay.
so I don't play now, but I supervise.
But still, you know, anyone wants to come to you and just take your blessings.
But
That would be enough for them.
you know, in Dehradun, in St. Joseph's Academy, in the evenings, the ex-students, a lot of ex-students are living around. They come and they play. I don't know here
Yeah, that
why-
is missing in our school.
why they are not allowed.
I don't know.
You must come and ask the principal. I'm not the principal or anything here. I'll be going off to the other school,
St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's, when they reopen. We are staying here. When they reopen, I'll go there. And I will be basically living there, and I will be handling those students.
Okay.
But here, the old boys, you'll have to talk to Brother Edward and Brother Brito. Two people. Brother Brito is a community leader, and Brother Edward is the principal.
Okay. Brother Edward is the tall one, right?
He's a big, tall man, yes.
Yeah. I've met him.
You've already seen him, yeah.
Yes. He was here when I was a kid.
He was here a few years ago.
He was
When Brother Anthony was principal,
Yep,
Anthony
yep.
Joseph.
He was the vice principal. Brother Edward was the vice principal back then.
Yeah.
Yes, I have met him quite a few
So,
number of times.
get his permission. And if you have about 10-15 boys, you're eager.
Easily.
If you are eager to play, you all can come there and play basketball. They will give you some timings. You'll tell them, tell them so and so timing you'd like to come there, and you'll play and you'll go away. You're not going to do any harm or destroy anything. That is not your reason.
No. Most of us come from a good background.
Yeah.
Like doctors or engineers.
And you only want to play.
Students.
But in St. Joseph's Academy, boys are playing. I have seen them coming. In Mount St. Mary's, hardly anybody comes. So we allow these children from the village, these students, small children, come and they play, and then some teachers are appointed to supervise them, some local teachers. But here I have never seen old boys coming and playing.
No. That was something missing right on from the time when Brother Babu worked.
Now, I don't know why some of these brothers are I always like to meet old boys, and if the old boys are living around and they want to come and play and use your flat, after all, the flat is meant for playing. Basketball court is meant for playing.
Playing basketball.
They're not going to come here and do any harm. They're coming to enjoy themselves.
Exactly.
And those who are living around, they want a nice place.
And every one of them have spent 12 years of their life, the most important time of their life when they were kids, as a student there.
So what you go through the alumni, ask Shah, and
I'll ask Shah, sir.
discuss that with the principal. With the principal. at the
I think
meetings.
we should form a community because
Yeah.
in St. Mary's it is missing. We have Ex-Marian everything, but we aren't connected that much. How much
See,
we should be.
just come there for a meeting occasionally, once a year.
There should be something once a week kind of event, sports and this or
Yes, why
that,
not?
something like that.
Yeah.
We can arrange that quite easily.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that much efforts or time. So we'll see to that. Anyways, brother, thank you so much for doing this.
Please do find out and make use of it.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
ground is
I'll-
meant
I'll
there.
show-
If the present present boys are not coming to play, you all can go and play on Sundays. Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Certainly.
Anyways, thank you so much for doing this. It's time already. It's 12. It's way past 12:30.
Yes, I'll make a move. You can
Thank
draw.
you so much.
Drop me.
Any last thing that you want to say?
No,
to the
very
listeners?
nice. It's been a nice experience to come here and chat with you about so many things. Anyway, we've gone off on different topics, but nice to choose one topic and discuss.
Yeah,
about
we can
that.
do that
Yeah.
anytime you want.
Yeah.
If you have time, just call me up
Yes.
and we'll fix up something.
Yes, during this time, COVID time,
Yeah.
there is time.
This time, right? So we can do that
Yeah.
whenever you want, whenever you feel like talking about something.
Okay, right.
And
Wonderful.
just putting that message out.
Wonderful, yes, wonderful it is.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
this
you.
is Time Wrap and
Thank you very much, Path. Yeah.
Thanks.